Alright, thought I'd do another little video, seeing as how topwater time is right around the corner. Actually, there may be some going on right now for all I know. But anyway, seeing as how topwater is my favorite way in the world to catch fish. It's not, by far, not the most productive for me, but it's my favorite way to catch fish. Thought we'd just do a little video. So, we'll start out with some of the old tried and true stuff that's been around for eons. We got your old Rapala topwater minnow. Been around since the beginning of time, probably, I don't know, 60 years maybe, something like that, maybe longer. Actually it's just a jerkbait, just a topwater jerkbait. About 9,000 ways you can fish it. Most people just prefer to throw it and just let it sit, let the ripples disappear, give it a couple of little twitches, and you know, you can be more aggressive with it if you want to, but been around, tried and true, been around forever. I remember back when I first read about these things coming out, they were so scarce and so sought after that you couldn't actually buy them. There were some marinas that got their hands on them, and they would actually rent them out for a day. And I expect there were a lot of anglers that just would say, well, we lost it, how much do we owe you? But anyway, that's how sought after they were back in the day, and they'll catch fish today. Used to catch a snot out of them up on Altoona, this thing in the springtime. We're going to go back with another one that's been around for eons, your old jitterbug. You got all kinds of sizes. You got them all from this all the way down to like 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Been around over 8 years. This is the musky style. It's a little bit bigger, it weighs an ounce. You can catch, and you never hear of anybody fishing the really big ones anymore. Of course, I don't really hear too many people fishing the old ones anymore. You know, buzz baits and whopper ploppers have kind of, you know, put these in mothballs, but they will still catch some big old fish, because I've caught some in the last couple of years on them. They're kind of painstaking, because you can't wind them very fast or they won't wobble right. But if you've got the patience to throw them and can fish them slow enough to make them have the correct action, yeah, they're deadly. Another one that's been around for 80 years, Czar Spook. Might be the first one like this, I don't know, just a walking bait. And the thing about it is, there are probably every lure manufacturer in the world has some version of a walking bait. And they're all pretty much the same. You know, you got different sizes, different colors, and I never understood the color thing, because, you know, most of them are all kind of pale or white on the bottom, which is basically what the fish is going to see anyway. But they've been around forever. One thing you want to do with these things is you really don't ever want to tie directly to the eye. You want to use a split ring or a dual lock snap like that. And when I put a dual lock snap on it, I just bend these little pieces down and just make them a permanent part of the bait. I mean, they've got 9,000 different colors of them too. This is probably the first one I ever used about 40 years ago. And there is one catch about these walking baits though. Some of them are easier to walk than others. My late fishing partner could not walk a spook, but he could walk a Sammy. Not a lot of difference, except a Sammy cost a lot more money, but he could not walk a spook to save his life. And I think this one is a Livingston maybe. Yep, Livingston. It's got the little concave face, and it does walk easier. But basically, the big thing is the size. You want them like this, you want them like this. You want to drop down to the junior, maybe in a clear. They'll all catch fish. But sometimes it's just a matter of, you know, do you want a little bit bigger one? Or do you want, well, dadgummit, I had it laying right here. Here it is. Or do you want a really bigger one? This is not a spook, although it looks just like a spook. It's called a little dock. I bought this last year for the first time, and everybody thought I was crazy. First trip out with it, I caught a 6.3. Second trip out with it, I caught a 6.12. And then it just got where Topwater, it just got so hot that Topwater wasn't doing that great. But if I'd had a longer season, I know I'd have caught more big fish on this thing. So hopefully coming up, I've got some other plans for this thing too. But again, got a split ring on the front so you don't choke it down. All right, what else we got? We can kind of talk about wake baits. This is not a topwater plug. This is my trusty Strike King Kong. But you can tell by that little lip, you can wake this real easily, very easily. And they will kill it on top. You've got to wind it pretty slow to keep it on top, because it'll have a tendency to dive a little bit. But if you wind it, just get the right speed. It's got that seductive wiggle wobble, and it's got knockers in it. But it'll catch big fish whether you're diving it or waking it on top. I love to wake it and have one just crush it every now and then. This is another thing I bought it several years ago. Just hadn't really had the opportunity to give it a real good workout. It's a snake lure. It's 12 inches long. It's got a whole bunch of segments. It's got crazy action. I mean, it looks more like a snake than a snake. I keep trying to, there's just so little time and so many things that I want to try that I just don't have time to do it. Maybe this year I'll get to give this one a shot. You know, it weighs less than 2 ounces, so you don't have to have anything crazy to throw it with. I would recommend throwing it on braid. I would recommend throwing most of this stuff on braid. But something else I want to give a try. This, a lot of people know about this. It's a cast. This is an OG. I bought this a couple of years ago. Never really had an opportunity to try it like I want to. At some point, I'm going to get these lures in the water, hopefully, if I can still fish. But it's got insane action. They've talked about it before on the live well and stuff like that, but it hasn't really truly got insane action. You throw it out and you can just rip it, and it makes a big bubble trail and pops back up. I know a lot of these guys use these on lanier. I've got some places I'm going to try it too this spring, hopefully. But I got all the faith in the world in it. This is a crazy thing called I think a head knocker. It's got this little concave lip that you attach to this little swim bait looking thing, and it just kind of skitters across the water. Hadn't really had an opportunity to use this like I want to. Like I say, there's just so many lures and so little time. What else we got? Everybody knows about frogs. My God, there's 9,000 frogs out there. They come out with new frogs every year. How do you reinvent this frog? I mean, there's just so many things you can do with one. I mean, it's a plastic body and some hooks and a skirt. How many things can you do with it? But they still keep shoving them out every year. That's just like walking baits. They keep coming out with that every year. What else we got? Oh, this is probably a version of the spook that I doubt very many people have ever seen. It's called a baby czar spook. Little wee thing, only about 2.5 inches long. This probably 80 years old. Been around forever. What else we got? We got all kinds of chuggers and popping baits. You got little Zell Rolling Pop Art. You know, they got 9,000 versions of this. They got cheap versions that are just as good as the expensive versions. I think they got Japanese kind that cost about 5 times what this does. I mean, good God, a popper's a popper's a popper. There's some slight differences, but not enough to justify these crazy price differences in them. Striper Delight, another chug bait that will catch a bass. And then we got probably my favorite chugger, chug boat. These will catch a fish. Everybody knows about them. And then This is an old thing called it's a Bagley, it's chugga lure. It's another type of chugger. Got the little concave face, just like all of them. This one's got a little propeller in the back. What else we got? Then we got old Rebel Popar. Been around 40 years. Great little bait. And then we have, what else have we got? Let's see, we got more spooks. Oh, gee whiz. Buzz baits. You got all kinds of buzz baits. This is probably the one I use the most. 99.9% of my buzz bait fishing is done with a white one. But this is something, I got red propellers. I also, originally this wire came straight out. I took it, bent it up at 45, did another 45 to make it straight. And then I take this rivet right here and I crimp it down so it will not turn. I also take this little rivet and flare it outwards just a little bit. I take this ear on the blade, bend it back just a hair so that it really gets on there good. Sometimes I'll put a little extra cup in the blades, and you get that right sound, and it's awesome. So like I say, 99, I'm gonna say, I don't ever use anything but white. Who am I kidding? What else have we got? We got, oh gosh, we got your, they never want to come out every time. Oh, this is a saltwater chuck boat. A little bit bigger for those days when you're feeling really frisky. And this is the little clear Popar. Clear baits, they have their place. I think sometimes on real calm days and sunny days, I think they might hit a clear a little bit better. I think it kind of gets their attention. They can't, I think their curiosity gets as much the better of them as their impulse to eat. They hear the racket, but they're seeing the disturbance, so they just go ahead and whack it. And also you got your Chopo, your Whopper Plopper. These things, I thought they were a joke when they first came out. I got over that pretty quick. What I love about these things is they're easy to throw. Anybody can throw them. You can give them to a kid and let them throw them. There's nothing to it. You throw it out and you wind it back. It's about as simple as it gets. You just don't ever want to use it around wood. It won't make it past a piece of wood. It just won't do it. Especially those pieces of wood where you got stumps and trees topped out about that far below the surface. It'll snag it every time. So don't ever throw one of these things where you can't go get it if you need to. Not unless you got the itch to go swimming. But you can cast them a mile. I throw mine on braid because if I'm going to throw them that far, I want to be able to get a good hook set. But you got all different sizes of these things. I even toyed with some clear ones. Put a little bit of glitter paint on it. Interesting. And like I said, we got the chug bugs and all that. Oh, and also on the spook. The first time I was on the, well, it wasn't a live well then, but the first time I was on what turned into the live well, they were primarily interested in my spinner baits, but we got to talking about topwater, and I just happened to bring one of these with me. It's a spook, and you attach a short braid leader, and boy, that's one thing about braid. It does not cooperate. And you have this little thing called a front runner. And you got about 12, 16, 14 inches of line between, you tie directly to the front runner, and then you drop back on the line to the spook. And when you throw it, it gives the illusion that the spook is chasing the front runner. And sometimes you'll catch them on the front runner, sometimes you'll catch them on the spook, sometimes you'll catch them on both. I was on the lake one day several years ago, and I had a couple of 5-pounders pile on this thing at the same time. And that's kind of when I first started fooling with it. And I hadn't figured out that I needed to use at least 30-pound braid to go between the spook and the front runner, because I had those 2 big fish pile on there, and they broke the 20-pound monofilament leader I was using. I got the 5-pounder that hit the spook, the front runner, I got him in. And somehow or another, the other fish managed to throw the spook, so I got it back too, but I did not get the other fish. But that's what it looks like when it's done right. And like I say, it is not unusual to catch fish on both. But it's a great little thing to use. They also make different sizes of the front runner. Well, they used to. Somebody makes one now. They call it a front runner, but it's spelled differently. And they charge like $20 for that little chunk of plastic to go in front of this thing. Fortunately, I've got some, still got some Normans in the package. But see, there's both sizes. There's the big one and the little one. If you want to go with the big spook, you can use the big one, and vice versa. Well, actually, Norman made 3 sizes. Forgot about that. That is the big one. That's the medium, and that's the little. But you can do that however you want to. Seeing as how I snagged this little lure coming out of there, we'll show it too. This is another little thing, another little clear lure called a Crazy Shad, made by Cordell. Clear with a little blue nose, got a little prop on each end. Used to catch a lot of fish on Altoona with this thing. But I also got another one that's elongated. I don't think it's called a Crazy Shad. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a lot longer, and it's the same type of deal. And what else have we got in here? Oh, but back to the ploppers. They just seem, if you get them around a fish, they just seem to piss a fish off. I mean, when they hit this thing, my God, they smoke it. That's the thing about a spook sometimes. Nearly all your strikes are going to be violent. They might hit it 2, 3, 4. I've got a video somewhere of a fish hitting the spook 6 times before it finally connects. That's the thing about a spook. When you're working it, any walking bait like that, never set the hook till you feel the fish, because a lot of them are going to miss it. And if you're around with their stripers and hybrids and stuff, a lot of them will come up and slap at it, and you'll wind up hooking them in the side of the head. You'll hook them in the back. You just keep working it, and it's a hard thing to do, because if you ain't had a strike in a while and one just blows up all over it, good God, it's hard not to jerk. But you got to train yourself not to do it. Just keep working it until you actually feel the fish load up. Then jack his jaws. But it's easier said than done, especially when one short lines you. But that's the cardinal rule of fishing a spook. Never set the hook till you feel the fish, because you'll come up short a lot of times. And I think we about reached the end of this little deal right here. But like I say, this is my favorite lure of all time, the spook. It's not my most productive, but it is my favorite. I love a spook bite better than anything, because they're always vicious. Some of these other lures, like the old Palomino, I've seen them take it off the surface and not make a ripple. I don't know how they do it. It's like they just come and just pull it down, but they never make a ripple. And that's the reason. That's the reason that some of mine, I have white on their back. You can kind of, it's a little visual aid. You can kind of keep track of it, especially like on a dark morning. If it's just sitting there, you just kind of lose it in that dark water. And with that white on the back, you can kind of see it. Not that they take it down without a ripple a lot, but it happens, and it just helps you keep an eye on your bait. I don't think I've got anything else. That's kind of my Topwater arsenal. Now, like I say, you can kind of, you want to throw a wake bait or something in there. This is a wake bait. Looks like a crankbait, but to me, wake baits and topwaters are kind of the same thing. But this is, I thought it was a crankbait because of that bill, but it ain't. It's a weight bait. It just runs right there on the surface, and it's got a big seductive wiggle wobble. And sometimes they will come up and just, it's basically a topwater strike because they're taking it off the top. It'll scare the hell out of you. I had one hit this, I think it was last year. I did not intend to be waking it. I don't think I was waking it. I think I had it maybe just an inch or two under the surface. I was kind of distracted doing something, and I was winding it back, and all of a sudden I just heard this explosion. And this is 48-degree water. I heard this explosion, and I looked back, and there was just a big explosion, just a big hole in the water right there. And that fish, it came up and grabbed this thing while it was under the surface, and grabbed it so violently that it turned it into a topwater strike. I got it on video. It's pretty cool. Anyway, like I say, buzz baits, choppos, whopper ploppers, all kinds of stuff. Topwater is a very big, wide world. Covers all kinds of different lures, all different scenarios. It's just, you know, you got to pick your poison and do what you like to do. I will, a lot of times, I know I miss out on a lot of fish because I'll stay with topwater longer than I know I should, but I'm going to do it anyway. And if you can catch any big fish on topwater, why, gee whiz, that's just bonus, you know. And nothing like seeing a 5, 6, 7, 8 pounder come up and smoke a topwater plug. It'll get your heart going, and if it don't, you might as well go check into the morgue because there's something wrong with you. Anyway, I think that's pretty much my spiel on topwater. Like I say, I just about as soon do that as eat when I'm hungry, and obviously I ain't missed a whole lot of meals. So anyway, and like I said, I look forward to playing with this thing. I'm gonna run up the road, and I tried it last fall. I think I got there too late. But I'm going to try this thing on muskie a little bit later on, maybe end of May, June, somewhere in there. And some of this other stuff I think will work on a muskie too. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's it. And as my Choctaw brethren say, Chapitha la Chiquette.